This is going to be your first trek alone in the forest, Mom says. While you're out there, I won't be able to save you. So let's go over the rules. I groan. I'd been in the Everling Forest countless times before, just never alone. Mom had gone over the rules with me ever since I could talk, but I wasn't a kid anymore. I was 16 now. I could take care of myself. Yes, Mother, I reply. Rule 1. Never take off my red hood. Why? Because it'll be much easier for the wolves to see me. That leads us to Rule 2. Never talk to a wolf. Why? Because then they will be able to mimic my voice. Rule 3. Mom, I sighed. I already know all the rules. Can I just go now? God. Mom drops the vial she is holding and it shatters on the floor. She dashes over to me, holding my face in her hands, and looks deeply into my eyes. Mela, this is not a joke. Just one mistake can cost you your life. If you don't follow these rules exactly, the wolves will kill you without a moment's hesitation, and that's if you're lucky. I shudder involuntarily. The coin we are paid is for a very important reason. This is a dangerous game that we play. You can never lose sight of that, like your... She pauses. I know who she's referring to. I try to block out the memory every day, but it always breaks through somehow. I know, Mom. I gently pry her hands away. I'm sorry. I know the risks. I just don't want to keep Grandma waiting. For a brief moment, there is a slight twinge in her expression, but Mom forces it back into a smile. Okay, let's finish so you can be on your way. Rule 3. Never look at a wolf in the eyes. Why? It will be easier for them to see my face. Why can't you allow them to see your face? I gulp. The memory is trying to break through, but I manage to hold it back. Because then they'll be able to mimic it. Rule 4. Never trust anyone while you're in the forest. Why? Because they might be wolves mimicking someone else. How can you tell if the people you meet are wolves? I couldn't hold back the memory any longer. Tears begin to well up in my eyes. Because their eyes will be yellow, their voice will be strained, and their body will be mirrored. Mom knew what I was thinking. Okay, that's all of the main rules. Are you ready to go? I wipe my tears and nod. I leave my house to begin walking out of the village towards Everling Forest. It's such a breathtaking sight, no matter how many times I've been there. There's nothing quite like venturing through that vast sea of evergreens. Its beauty can almost make you forget its dangers. On the forest edge, I usually catch a glimpse of the woodcutters working away. This forest is a very popular and profitable place for them. It's in the name. The trees just seem to grow so much faster here. The villagers have never figured out why, but for them it doesn't really matter. Money is money after all. As far as we can tell, only my family knows why the forest grows like it does. Sometimes I envy the villagers. Ignorance is bliss. The one thing the villagers do know is that if you venture into the forest, stay on the path. They don't need to know why, and they wouldn't believe the reason even if they knew. Maybe some of them would mention the danger of normal wolf attacks, but only that. As I pass by the woodcutters on my way in, they say, "Ah, there goes Little Red. Hey, where's Big Red?" That girl must be crazy to go in there all by herself. I ignore them and keep going. My family doesn't have the luxury of staying on the fringes or on the path. When we come into the forest, we have to take risks. My family never speaks of our purpose. Let them think we are strange. We just keep to ourselves. The sunbeams look so beautiful peeking through the trees. Mushrooms litter the ground. All the birds singing are so comforting. Eventually, I come to a fork in the path. To the untrained eye, nothing would look amiss. It only appears to be a light game trail going off into the trees. This is the path I must follow. After going through the copses of trees, a beautiful meadow appears around a long bend. Within the meadow is my goal. Beautiful flowers of whites and yellows pepper the ground, but if you're lucky, you'll see some that are a reddish-pink color. These flowers are called the Carmela Rose. They are my namesake. I'm not sure if that is a blessing or a curse. While kneeling to pick, I hear a tree branch crack in the distance. My neck snaps to the side. I can't see anything in the shade of the trees. Then, some leaves rustle closer to me. I turn my head again. I can just make out some eyes in the shadows. They are glowing yellow. Just my luck that I should meet a wolf so soon on my first trek alone, I think to myself. It must have been following me. I had no clue. The closer it approaches, the louder its sniffing becomes. Then he walks out into the sunlight. It is a very large black wolf. Its bristling back shows off its shaggy mane. It arches and rises like a human on its hind legs to smell the air. I just need to stay calm and lie still, I think to myself. Eventually the wolf will pass. I clench my hood and lie down in the flowers. The wolf continues to sniff along the ground until reaching the meadow. Ah, the wolf snarls. Now here I was, just minding my own business when I smelled a tasty morsel. A small portion of man flesh. That was an opportunity I simply couldn't pass up. Your kind doesn't venture into these parts very often. There was something so unsettling about hearing a wolf speak to a human. I'll never get used to it. I continue lying still. Come on, I know you're there. Come out, come out. I won't bite. The wolf laughs. I keep quiet. The wolf backs away from the flowers and tries to pick up my scent again. These pesky flowers are too fragrant. Is that why you came here? Ah, you're after the roses. You're that little girl, Little Red. The wolves talk about you. But wait, where's Mommy? You're out here all alone? Ah, today really is my lucky day. I hear him snarl and lick his lips. I still try desperately to keep quiet, no matter how badly I want to scream. I can't allow it to provoke me. I think to myself, if I just lie still, he'll leave. The wolf begins circling the flower patch over and over. I can hear his claws scraping the dirt. It refuses to leave. It feels like ages pass. Finally, the wolf says, So you don't want to play now? Fine. I'm growing bored. You have to come out eventually, and when you do, I'll be waiting out there in the trees. You can't hide forever. Finally, the wolf scampers back into the forest. After such a disturbing ordeal, I wish I could have returned home. But there was a second part to this trip, visiting Grandma's house. I listened closely to be sure that the wolf could not be heard. Then I quickly pick up some roses and crawl out of the flower patch. I'm fortunate that the wolf left in a different direction, but I wasn't exactly sure why, since I had left no scent that way. Grandma's house is only a few miles away, and fortunately her home is on the path. I just need to find it again. I follow the game trail all the way back to the fork I had turned off of. My head is on a swivel the entire time. Any noise makes me flinch, but the wolf had apparently left. Soon I arrive at Grandma's. It is a quaint little cottage with flower boxes of lush green vines hanging off the windows. She has a little garden of squash with a bird bath at the back. Grandma had been looking out the window as I walked up. Her face seems concerned. Oh, Mela, Grandma exclaims as she opens the door. I was starting to get worried. What took you so long? I was expecting you over an hour ago. I walk inside and toss my satchel on Grandma's table. I brought the flowers, but I also ran into a wolf. Grandma gasps. Oh, goodness, are you hurt? She grabs my cheeks and begins looking me over. I'm fine, thank you. I just follow what you and Mom taught me. Grandma lets out a deep breath. So, did he try to talk to you? Yes, but I kept quiet. Did he see you? No, but he did pick up my scent. Okay, good. Some of my perfume should fix that. You were always such a diligent learner. I know it isn't easy, but you did the right thing. Fighting the wolves is incredibly dangerous. Only a fool would try. I'm just glad that your satin hood is serving you well. Didn't you make it for me, Grandma? I did. Our family has made them for generations. It helps you get spotted if you ever get lost. I smiled. Grandma always had a way of babying me, but she did it in such a sweet way that I didn't mind. You know that's not the entire reason, Grandma. Why can't the wolves see red? Her warm smile faded. Well, they can't tell the difference between red and green, like dogs. Both colors blend together for them. But they can still see yellow, like the color of your hair, and blue, like the color of your eyes. If the wolves see you and take your image, then there's no knowing what they're capable of. Please, promise me to never take off your hood while you're in the forest, Mela. I promised. We walk to the table and open my satchel. Grandma pulls out a dozen red roses. Ah, these will work quite nicely, she said. You know, dear, this is the last place in the world where these Carmela roses grow, and I don't know how much longer they will last. They're so valuable and sought after, but they don't grow like everything else in this forest does. Why do we pick them? Grandma paused as she attempted to choose her words carefully. Your grandfather discovered the properties of these flowers. He knew that they would be priceless to the right people. Who did he sell to? You'll have to ask your mother about that. She handles that part of the business now. I just make the serum. Speaking of which, maybe you could help me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. One thing I did know about the business was that it was strictly divided. Grandma has her role and Mom has hers. She never asked Mom to help her make the serum in all the times that I had visited. Grandma was usually so secretive about the serum. She would make us go to the other room while she made it. I would love to, I reply. Okay, good. Now watch me. She takes out a thin curved knife and chops up the pink flowers into small pieces. She divides the petal fragments into even piles, carefully counting each piece. She pulls out a crate filled with jars and drops the flower petals into them. Then, she pulled out a large jug of dark red liquid. Would you mind helping me with this part? I walk over. She unscrews the lid. The smell is very rank, like the scent of animal musk. Grandma hands me a large spoon. Just scoop out some into each of the jars. I reach into the large jug, but it's difficult to handle. The red liquid is so viscous, almost like a syrup. I dump each scoop into the jars and watch the petals become engulfed in the red mass. These will have to soak for a month, then they'll be ready for straining. I help Grandma put everything away. Then she pulls out a small box. The finished serum is here. One jar makes 12 vials, enough for a whole year. Grandma, I finally ask, why are you showing me all this? You never showed Mom before. Well, I suppose it's time that I told someone. Should anything happen to me, then the secret will be lost, along with our family's legacy. Grandma places the small box in my satchel on the table. Then she begins coughing, so heavily that I worry she will spit up blood. Grandma, are you all right? What's wrong? Soon, her coughing begins to grow quieter, until she starts breathing normally again. Oh, I'm fine, dear. I've just been a little under the weather lately. Well, of course, Grandma. You aren't getting any younger. She lets out a chortle. Oh, is that so? Well, how old do you think I am, Mela? I pause for a moment. I think Mom said around 80? Oh, no, I'm not. So, you must be 100, I say as a joke. Maybe it isn't in good taste, but Grandma's reaction isn't what I expected. She looks me dead in the eyes and says, No, I'm older. I can't believe it. I'd never heard of someone being 100 years old, let alone older. She continues, You look surprised. Well, I'll tell you. I'm 176 years old. How? She opens the small box and pulls out a vial of freshly made serum. This is how. I look at the pinkish liquid sloshing in the vial. It flows much more smoothly than that concoction we made earlier. It almost looks like jam. This is our family secret. This is what has kept us going. This serum can make you immortal. When I was younger, I never asked questions of my family. I was simply following their lead. But I had seen some strange things growing up, and now it was finally starting to make sense. So that's why the villagers won't talk to us. They must think we're witches. Grandma laughs. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't get out much these days. People will gossip about anything, but they leave us alone well enough. Grandma's smile morphs into a grave expression. Mela, I lied to you earlier. I'm sorry. I'm not doing very well at all. Her eyes dart around the room as if she's expecting someone. I need some medicine. Your mother will know what to get. I need you to bring it to me tomorrow. But if you're immortal, then how can you get sick? Well, the more of this serum you take, the more that your body craves. It's like being addicted to ale. Some people respond better to it than others. Your grandfather... well, never mind. Now I was starting to believe that something very strange was going on with Grandma. She didn't bring up Grandpa very often, and she had already mentioned him twice today. What I mean to say is that some people live longer and some don't. The serum doesn't work the same on everyone, but some people would pay anything to live 1 year longer. My stomach begins to tie into knots. I ask myself, what was my family really up to? Sweetie, I know this is a lot for you. Everything will be okay. Grandma opens the curtains and peeks outside. The shadows of the trees are growing longer. Mela, you really should be going. You don't want to be caught out here in the forest at night. I hurry back along the path, clutching my satchel filled with the strange serum. As I get further from her house, I start to think that Grandma is just delirious from a cold. That she hadn't really meant what she had said. It was just too much to take in. My mind races with endless thoughts. I continue along, desperate to get home before nightfall. Then, I catch sight of a lone woodcutter. At first glance, he seems to be heading back to the village after a long day's work. He has his axe slung over his shoulder and is wearing a wide-brimmed hat. From the back, he looks strong and stocky, but still fairly young. I hurry past him. Then I hear a voice behind me. Good evening, miss. I had been so lost in my thoughts that his greeting takes me off guard. I don't want to seem rude, so I turn my head back and wave. I'm in such a rush, I can't stop worrying about Grandma. I'm not used to the attention of men, but I am 16 now. As I arrive home, Mom was looking out the window for me, just as Grandma had been. I open the door and hand Mom the satchel. She closely inspects the serum inside, nods with approval, and puts everything back. Then she asks, "So, how sick is she?" After a day like today, I learned to stop being surprised. "How did you know?" "It's only a matter of time. She didn't seem like herself last time I saw her." "How do you know that she isn't just acting her age?" Mom frowns at me. "She told you, didn't she?" "She did, and a lot of other stuff too." Mom's eyes widen. "Didn't you really think she's going to?" "Grandma told me that you would know what to do." The next morning, Mom gives me a vial of a dark blue liquid extract. "What is this? Is it related to the serum?" Mom is quiet for a long time before speaking. "No, well, not exactly. It's wolfsbane mixed with some other herbs. Just tell Grandma to mix it in with her tea. I hope she gets the treatment she's looking for." I don't understand what this has to do with the wolves. I was beginning to feel uneasy. "Okay, Mom, I'm going back now. Oh, and Mela?" I turned back to look at her. "Don't worry about bringing home any serum today. Just make sure that Grandma gets her medicine and come back straight away." Why did she have to wait until just before I was leaving to tell me this? I began to feel myself losing trust with the family. Like all the family had were secrets or lies. I walked back out towards the forest again. There are dark clouds in the sky overhead. Light sprinkles of rain begin to fall. At the edge of the forest, there are no woodcutters, most likely discouraged by the looming storm. I enter the forest along the path again. The rain begins pelting down harder now. Small puddles form in wagon ruts and along edges of the path as I walk. Suddenly, I hear a voice screaming, "Help! Wolf! The wolf is eating me!" The voice was calling from inside the tree line. I could recognize that voice. It was Daddy. I knew that it couldn't possibly be him. It had been years since a wolf had killed him. It took every ounce of will for me not to follow his screams. Now I was certain that the wolves are pure evil. They'll go to any lengths to lure you to them. Rain falls from the sky as the tears from my eyes, but I keep running. Then further down the path, I see that same young woodcutter again, with the wide-brimmed hat. "Is that you, miss? Hello again. The weather is too dangerous today. You shouldn't be out here all alone." I say nothing and keep looking ahead as I cover my face with my hood. As we pass each other, he stops and says, "Come on, I won't bite." My body tenses up. I then realize what a fool I had been. He had been a wolf the entire time. Mother's voice echoes in my mind. Just one mistake can cost you your life. I run as fast as I can, kicking up mud behind me. I jump off the trail and into the trees. "Wait," he yells after me. "Come back. Are you crazy?" I don't stop running. Tree branches slap my face and scrape my arms and legs, but I don't stop. I can't stop. I just hope that my experience in the forest will keep me alive long enough to reach Grandma's. Then I finally arrive. The door is flung wide open, creaking as it swings back and forth on the hinges. No candles are lit inside. Despite how odd it seems, I run in and shut the door behind me. Whatever is going on inside can't be worse than what is chasing after me out there. Grandma's illness must have gotten worse, so she dropped everything to go lie down. I have to hurry, but then I pause and look around. I see shattered glass and papers scattered on the floor. Something isn't right. Grandma would never leave her house like this, even if she was at death's door. She's too cautious, too meticulous, too clean, unless something tricked her into opening the door. Then a hoarse voice calls out, "Little Red." It doesn't sound like Grandma. I hear a scraping sound, the sound of claws digging into the wood floor, a heavy dragging, a heavy breathing, and scraping again. My nose is met with that same musky animal smell. That smell and those sounds are getting closer now. I don't understand what is happening. I don't know where Grandma is. All I can manage to say is, "Who are you?" A deformed figure appears from the darkness, dragging itself along the floor. It looks like Grandma in her cap and nightgown stained red. Had a wolf attacked her? But if so, then where is it now? As Grandma drags her body closer to me, she doesn't look like herself at all. The hands are clawed and reaching towards me with a sense of desperation. The nose elongated, the ears extended into points. Tufts of hair shoot through the tears of her clothes. Her body begins to ripple as waves made by a stone skipped across a lake. The grandma creature looks up to me with yellow eyes and opens its mouth of fanged teeth. Kill. I scream. Then I hear a sudden crash behind me. The door is smashed in. The woodcutter. I had completely forgotten about him. Now I am caught between him and this creature. Now I am certain that this is where I will die. "Are you all right? Oh my God, what is that thing? Look out! The woodcutter raises his axe and brings it down upon the thing on the floor. I can't bear to look. The hacking sounds nearly make me retch. After he is certain that the thing is dead, the woodcutter wipes the blood on his trousers and says, "Whatever this thing is, it is demonic. It must be burned." I can only manage a nod. If this house goes down with this thing, then so be it. Burn it all. He ignited some of the papers scribbled with serum recipes. I'm not sure if he knows what the paper says or cares. Before long, flames dance along the floor, engulfing the shattered serum bottles and moth-eaten text. Grandma's work will soon be lost. We leave the house. Dark smoke billows from the windows. The rain has stopped, but I'm not sure if the fire will finish the job. But if it does, perhaps destroying our family's legacy is for the best. Suddenly, a wolf emerges from the trees. It has streaks of gray in its fur. He creeps towards Grandma's house, but keeps his distance from us. He watches the smothered flames. Then he speaks in a low growl, almost familiar to my ears. It wasn't supposed to end like this. Then he darts back into the trees. With nothing left to do, I begin making my way home. The woodcutter walks along with me. I don't bother to try and get away. Our family rules seem quite trivial now, and besides, if he wanted to kill me, then he probably would have done so already. The two of us continue to amble back to the village. The woodcutter breaks the silence. So, just another day in the woods for you? He actually manages to make me smirk, but I don't reply. He goes quiet for a while, seeming to don a more serious demeanor. He finally stammers out, "I'm sorry about what I said earlier. It wasn't a good idea, especially given this forest's reputation." At first, I'm confused by what he means. Then it hits me. I won't bite. So much has happened since then. Did he really think that was the reason I wasn't talking to him? Because I was upset about what he had said? Now, I begin to think that this apology is kind of sweet. I had gotten this poor guy into enough trouble today. Was I starting to like him? Mom's voice echoes in my mind again, but this time I block it out. "You don't need to apologize. I should be thanking you for saving my life. Thank you." She speaks. The woodcutter throws up a hand in an exaggerated gesture, almost knocking his hat off his head. I stifle a laugh. A sense of pride seems to well up in him now. He puffs out his chest and adjusts his hat. "You don't need to thank me, really. I was happy to help, Miss... He pauses. "Is your name really Red?" This time, I don't hesitate. "It's Carmela, actually, but you can call me Mela." My name lingers in the air for a moment. He reacts as if I had given him a secret password to a forbidden city. He mutters my name to himself a few times under his breath until he speaks up. "Mela, that's a pretty name." "Thanks, but sometimes I wish my name really was Red." He looks at me quizzically. "Well, I'm Tom, just Tom." I smile. "So, what the hell was that creature back there, and how was that wolf able to talk?" I'm not entirely sure, but I'll try to explain what I know the best that I can. We talk for what feels like hours. I can honestly say that despite not knowing each other for very long, I've never felt closer to anyone. It is evening when we finally arrive back in the village. Tom and I say our goodbyes and turn our separate ways. Mom is at the table when I get home, looking through the overstock of serum that we keep in the house. She looks up at me and very casually asks, "Is she dead?" Tears well up in my eyes again. So she knew. She had sent me there to kill my own grandma and possibly die in the process. "I told her that this would happen," she continues, "but she didn't listen. For years, I asked her to come live with us. She was just too stubborn. This outcome was inevitable." "So, it wasn't medicine," I stammer. "It was poison." "Yes, dear," Mom sighed. "That's what wolfsbane is. Haven't you been studying your herbs?" She was so calm, so cold. "How could you—" "Silence!" she screamed. Mother had never raised her voice to me before. I was taken aback. "Don't say another word. I told you this is a dangerous game that we play, and you told me that you were old enough to handle it." She was right. I had agreed to everything, but I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Then Mother says, "So, who else saw Grandma?" I play dumb. "What do you mean?" "Grandma already started turning, didn't she? There's no way you could have handled her on your own." "I don't even know if it was Grandma. What if it was another wolf?" "Look, I'm sorry that it happened to you. Just tell me who else was there." I don't reply. Mother rises from the table. "Mom, what are you doing?" "Who else saw her? This matter needs to stay within the family. An outsider could ruin everything. As a matter of fact, Mother reaches under her dress and unsheaths a rusty knife from her garter belt. I'll gut them myself. Her continued calculated demeanor frightens me. If she was willing to kill Tom with no hesitation, then what would she do to me? I run out the door and don't stop until I reach Tom's house. She doesn't follow. Tom and I are running away tomorrow. I don't want anything to do with this family. I never asked for any of this. That doesn't make it easy. I still love my grandma. She was such a gentle soul. Sometimes I like to think that she is still alive. Maybe she is out there in the Everling forest, living wild and free. Maybe as a human. Maybe as a wolf. And just maybe she is out there with Grandpa. Thank you for listening. For more content like this, please be sure to subscribe. And remember, nothing's lost forever.